I have the honor to direct a research center in the University of Oxford called the Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, OPHI, by its acronym. And we work on multidimensional measures of poverty and of well-being. So we look at the deprivations that people are experiencing at the same time and identify who is poor if they have a critical mass of deprivations, and then try to understand by different regions how that poverty changes and how it can be unlocked and reduced. At this conference, I presented what we call the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index, or MPI, for 2025. This covers 109 countries and 6.5 billion people, and we found that 1.1 billion people were poor. Then we asked a next question. We asked, in the year in which they were poor, how many of these people were exposed to high heat, to drought, to flood, or to air pollution? And we found that nearly 80% of poor people, 887 million, were exposed to at least one of those 4 climate hazards, 609 million to 2 of those hazards, and over 300 million to 3 or 4. So we really observed that poor people's lives not only are battered and diminished, as Amartya Sen would say, by different deprivations covering nutrition or education or housing or electricity, but also at the same time by climate shocks. Yes, our work this year of geospatially overlay poverty and climate hazards was aimed to provide a basis for the COP30 discussions about how to measure adaptation and how to think about the lived human conditions of people who are affected by climate hazards. So one very clear policy relevance is to use these data to focus on the populations and reduce their poverty, as well as ameliorate their climate shocks. Last year, we focused on conflict, for example, finding that 40% of poor lived in a conflict-affected, fragile, or war-affected situation. So again, we could think about policies that address instability and poverty together. So each year we try to take one theme and understand how it interacts with poverty in a way that would accelerate the reduction of poverty. And that's important these days because there's less money and often less visibility of poverty, and yet so many lives continue to be affected. So we have to find high-impact pathways out of poverty.